Good evening, everybody. I'll call our regular public council meeting for Monday, February 6, 2023 to order. Councillor Epke and Goss are joining us via Zoom. New business, Councillor Tepper.
Pass.
Councillor Manning.
I shall pass too.
Holler.
Pass.
Councillor Epke.
Thank you.
Okay. Councillor Goss.
Pass.
Deputy Mayor.
Pass.
And I'll just get some thanks. Okay. Is there anybody who wants to get on the first Q&A? April Goss?
It must be your own group.
All right, and we got a few other, and I just want to say that we have a couple of other people in attendance tonight. We have representatives from Allied Youth for Allied Youth Week Proclamation. And also we have a College North Atlantic student, Abigail Butler, here that's going to be taking some pictures. So don't be alarmed. She might be getting up around and taking some pictures. She might flick in out of the live stream, but that's okay. It's all about her education. And here we have some representatives from MUN. Right?
All right.
All right. Could I get a motion to adopt the agenda as amended, please?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Carried. All right. We have a public council minutes for January 23rd, 2023. Can I get a motion to adopt those, please?
So moved. Second.
Moved and seconded. Any errors or omissions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Conflict of interest. There's only a couple of them. I'm not looking for that piece of paper. There's going to be a motion here for 56 Mans Lane and 152 Patrick's Path. If there's an issue with those with conflict, make sure you raise them at the time. All right. Proclamations, presentations. We have a proclamation here for Allied Youth Week 2023. Councillor Tepper.
Proclamation Allied Youth Week 2023, celebrating our communities. Whereas Allied Youth is an organization for people grades 7 through 12. Whereas Allied Youth posts are in many communities throughout Newfoundland and Labrador. Whereas Allied Youth is celebrating their community and school involvement. Whereas Allied Youth encourages members to make choices that reflect a healthy lifestyle. Whereas Allied Youth encourages members to educate themselves on issues facing youth today. Whereas Allied Youth allows students to run their own posts and make decisions at the post level.
Therefore, I declare that February 12th to February 18, 2023 be Allied Youth Week in Torbay, Newfoundland. So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Where am I looking for? I am looking for Rachel. Did you want to have a few words, or did you want to come up and sign this with me? Much here out the way. You can sign this one. Did you want to say anything about AY?
I'm very happy with how we've done this year, and I'm excited for AY Week.
Okay, excellent. We're excited for AY Week 2, and as your dad will know, we were part of the first AY ever came to Torbay. I was involved in it, and I know he was involved in it, and sisters were involved in it. We were all involved in it, and we're so happy that it's still going. How many years now, Walter?
In Torbay, it's been here since 1981.
Right.
60 years in the province.
All right, thank you. You keep that one. Keep that one. All righty, anybody else have any comment? Okay, all in favor?
Before we vote,
Yeah.
could I just extend a thank you to the AY reps there? There's amazing work that they do in the community. They're always there to help us with community events, and there's great opportunities for people to engage, learn, and volunteer. So I just want to extend a thank you. I know Walter is there with you, and I know he puts a lot of hours and time in, as do many others. So just want to say thank you to them. It's really important that it's been continuous and going since 1981. And just want to extend a big thank you, that's all.
All right, perfect, thank you. Walter's nodding his head, he agrees with you. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Thank you, and we have a presentation here from some representatives from MUN Bachelor of Education regarding an email that they sent a little while ago about community libraries, right? Did you want to get up and tell us a little bit about it?
A slideshow done, just wondering if there's any
Okay.
way to connect that.
Can we do a slideshow quickly, or is it gonna pull up our Zoom?
Yeah, do you have a flash drive? Or do you take this with computer? Yeah, if I unplug,
Yeah,
yeah, it's gone.
Lose.
Disconnect out. We can shop.
probably
That's
what we
fine.
can do,
We can just read it off the slide.
you can read it off, and you can provide us the video or the presentation that you have,
Yeah.
and we'll put it up on our website and share it. Is that okay?
Yeah.
All right.
Quick couple of songs.
So my name is Augusta Harris. I live in Torbay. I'm currently a student at Municipal University doing my Bachelor of Education.
I'm Brandy Gatto at School with Augusta. I'm from Baber.
Okay.
And my name is Mary Jean Flynn, and I'm Augusta's classmate from Fair Roberts.
Nice to meet y'all.
Yes. So
Thanks for
part of
having us.
yeah, thank you. As part of our education degree, we're doing a take action proposal and a civic movement to make a change. And we came up with the idea to put in mini libraries. So we were hoping to create a free book library, and this would be a small wooden box containing about 50 children's picture books and short novels, appropriate for children of various ages and reading levels. And all the children in Torbay would have nearby access to these books to read and return at any time.
It's a 24-hour accessible service to kids of all ages, so very small to very tall. We'd make them kid height, so adults can bend, but kids don't have to reach.
Right.
They're all around the world, so 160 countries or something have them, and wherever you travel, you see these little, sometimes in parks and sometimes at community centers, and I'm sure you've seen them.
And we have contact with the Lions Club here in Torbay. It's not like guaranteed yet, but there's possibility of funding for the boxes. But if not, we had planned previously to fundraise on our own, so we would cover the cost of the things, and we would have all the books donated, and we would keep up with the books, like putting the books in. You don't have to provide us books or any materials. But what we need is location approval from council and help with installation.
Okay.
And I think we did have a couple of locations in mind, because Augusta's really familiar with the town, so she knows the places where the youth would be, and that they would access these books easiest.
Yeah, so the ones that came top of my mind, but not necessarily have to be those, is one in front of the museum, the new museum, one up near the soccer field, especially during the summertime, there's a lot of traffic with kids up there, and one on the trails, somewhere on the trails, either Forest Landing or down by the beach, or, yeah.
It's nice to have free access to books when you're outside, and, oh, look, books, let's go sit and read some books and have our ice cream instead of
iPads and
Right.
phones,
Yeah.
or just not having books.
Yes, yeah.
No, I agree.
Don't
Yeah.
have to bring them around, they're just there.
For the timeline, we do have a short timeline due to this having to be completed for our education purposes. March 10th to the 11th would be. And we are planning to do an open ceremony ribbon cutting event. So we're going to get somebody from the library to come out, and we thought that if, other members could come out from the council and, for that event.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sounds good. So I know that you sent me this email last week,
Yes.
and we've already started looking at it, right? So I don't see how it's gonna be that big of a deal for us to be able to participate in that. And I know that we'll reach out to the Lions Club as well, right, to make sure that we're all on the same page?
Yes, the last communication we had from the Lions Club, they said that their decision will be made by Wednesday this week.
Okay, all right.
Yeah. They
Their
were-
meeting's tomorrow night.
Yeah.
All right, perfect.
All right.
That's excellent. Anybody have any questions?
No, I think it's a wonderful idea, and I've seen them in other communities, right? So, yeah, great initiative for sure.
Yeah.
So are we gonna be looking for people to donate books?
We said we would initially.
Yeah, like I feel like we'll do an outreach and we'll post it on our personal social medias. It's definitely going to be full by the time we have it, and I'm thinking it's going to be really easy for us to collect books, so we'll have an extra bin to keep refilling the book as needed.
Oh, okay.
And then there's a little quote that you can put on it. It's like, read a book, take a book, read a book, return a book, so people can also put a book in there as well
Oh,
when they
okay.
take one.
Something they've read enough times at home that they're ready to pass on, that put it in, take it up.
Or even the moms and dads who have boxes of books that they just can't give away yet. I think it's a fabulous idea, absolutely fabulous. Yeah.
Go ahead, Tom. Julie?
I just wanted to quickly add that about a half a year ago, the Scouts, I believe, the Cubs of Scouts also made an little outdoor library, and it still has to be put up. So I think it'd be a great opportunity to use this occasion now to also install that one. It needs a post. It's basically a box and has roof tiles on it and all that, so it'd be ready to go, but it's missing the gear. Okay.
That's it. Any other questions? No, it's a
Can I ask
great.
a question?
Yeah, go ahead.
I love this idea. I think it's amazing. And I remember taking advantage of a similar idea in St. John's when they had something like this down at a war memorial. I'm just wondering, Augusta, are we specifically set to just children's age books, or could we have like 2 for the kids and 1 for, adult reading or older reading? I'm thinking that newcomers to the community and people may want to be, practicing their English, or maybe adults are just interested in reading, but they don't have resources to get out books. So I'm just curious, like, is there a way that we could look at that to make it a multi-age inclusive? Because the other thing is, when kids see their parents reading, they're modeling that behavior as well. So I'm just putting that out there to see if that's an option or consideration. Thank you.
Oh, yes, a great question. Yeah, we are considering that each box will have different books in them. We have various, hopefully languages, depending on what donations we get. Could be teen novels, hopefully adult novels, and children's as well, books. Yeah.
I was hoping to have something for the new Ukrainian kids too, and there's a literary initiative. I have the contact of a person who works with the Association for New Canadians and has some families that go to them to get books, and so maybe we could put a few of those in.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, all right, sounds good. Sounds like you're thinking about everybody and everything. It's a good initiative. And Doc, did you have something to say? No? You good?
Whatever we can do to promote, we will as well too. So I'll follow up with you on email, and we'll put definite timelines in place for the action plan and promotion of even dropping off books at the community centre or here at the town hall. So whatever we can do to support and help, that'll be great.
Excellent, thank you.
All right,
Yeah.
that's good. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
You can stay for the rest of our meeting, or you can go. You don't have to if you don't want to. Same for you,
I wonder what they do.
Walter. All right, April. Floor is yours.
Hello, I'm April Goss. I am married to Walter Goss, and we own the road on, or both sides of the road on Darrell Pye Drive over by the new school.
Okay.
So I guess I'm just looking for some clarification on an email I got on Friday. So we applied for water allocations on these lots a couple years ago, and the clock started ticking from the water allocations permits that we received. However, the permit that we first were able to get, due to numerous issues that I think most councillors are aware of with the daycare, first permit we got was June 2022. So now our water is about to expire come the middle of this month. So I got an email, Julia, I'm sorry, I did not get a chance to follow up with you today. I tried to reach, but I was not able to get you today. I'm just looking for clarification on that, what you sent back on Friday to me, because it's not really clear as to what is expected from me and Walter, to progress with this water allocation. I'm not clear on what it is at the end of the day, what we'd have to pay to keep our water. I don't want our water to expire. If this water expires, this land will not develop. We're all residents of Torbay. That brand new school, the road looks horrible, is rocks. We want to develop it. We couldn't get the permit. No fault of ours. Like, we tried, you know, I don't want to get into that matter because we've discussed that many, many times. But I'm just wondering, like, what it is at the minimum me and Molly would have to kind of do to make sure it's clearly understood to us before the 16th, because that's quickly approaching, what it is we have to do to make sure we keep our water.
Yeah, you can go ahead.
Thank you.
I wish me doing.
Well,
Yeah.
actually, no, I wasn't. I was thinking when you were started talking there that this would probably be a better conversation to have with Julia one-on-one, so that she can explain all the details rather than necessarily doing it here in public and going down through the whole water allocation scenario and things again. So I don't know if that wouldn't be the more prudent solution at this point in time.
It might be.
I suggest that, I mean, and we can certainly talk about it after the council meeting as well too, so we can get clarification. But the intention was to provide an option for you to continue with those water resources, right, at the end of the day, and not lose them.
At a minimum cost, I guess that's what I'm looking for, because if not, I am pleading then to the panel, I guess, to make sure I get that extension or figure something out, and to ask for a little bit of leeway from the 16th deadline, I guess, from us, because that's about to expire, and I don't know if we'll get everything put in place prior to that, and I don't want the 16th then to receive the email and say, sorry, you're out of luck. The 16th is here, so even a little bit of extension, if we can resolve that matter, if we agree on what that is, coming from the PLUBD committee as to how to progress with this water allocation, can we kind of start the ball, but have that, make sure that we kind of don't get cut off on that 16th.
I think that and I saw the email and I read it. I think that from a legislative point of view, the town has very few levers that we can pull in terms of the time, is what I gathered from the email. So we will work with you guys to try and fit whatever we can within that time frame for you to be able to get that development moving forward and not stop. So I think that was kind of the gist of where that email was going. And to Tony's point, it would probably be better to have a discussion where you can ask the questions and get the answers that you need, because that's, for this forum right here, what we're doing right here now, that's way more in depth of a conversation than we would normally have here like this, because of the legislative requirements that the planning department and the staff would know about, that it's difficult for me to speak to, not knowing the full file. Right?
Can
So-
I just ask then, based on the time frames, that it's fine to say every 2 weeks to meet, but based on this all coming to an end on the 16th of February, that meeting take place, like, if at all possible, tomorrow? Is that, I know, but it's the time frames that we're looking at now, and I'm
But the time
surprised
frames
just to look at the at the time that's available to get clarification on
Right.
this.
So that can happen tomorrow. That can happen.
Clarification email is not a problem anytime. We can do that. I mean, I was going to suggest after this, but we have another meeting after this, but we can
Yep.
certainly do it tomorrow. But I mean, the information in the letter was to allow those allocations to go ahead
Okay.
unencumbered. And then that was the whole intention, and there was a lot of discussion around that too, as to how best we can do it once they get to the point of expiry. So you had to change it to a development type scenario rather than just an application type scenario. And that's what the letter does. And that's why I really didn't want to start delving into it here at this table this time, because it's a much longer discussion, but we certainly can clarify, and I think we should do that.
Okay, I just
It's
wanted.
it's unfortunate that you didn't reach Julie before the meeting, but certainly can.
Yep.
We can do that.
Okay, I just wanted to kind of make sure it was
Yeah.
well known, I guess, amongst the committee that I want to progress and work with the committees to kind of make that going. But if for some worry or because of the time crunch, to bring it all in awareness that I do want to progress with this, and not trying to stall this anymore, just time-wise.
That was the.
April,
That
I'm
was
a
the basis
member.
of the discussion as well, for sure.
No, I'm a member of that committee too, and I'm available tomorrow.
Okay.
But our intent is to make this happen, you know,
Yeah.
so, you know, time is running out. So anytime tomorrow, I'm free.
Okay, all right.
Mayor, can I ask a question? I just want to understand if I'm understanding this correctly. April, is what you're saying that the 2-year approval that you guys have for water for those allocations has expired or will expire on the 16th of February?
Yes.
Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, it is expiring, yeah. We asked for an extension after the first year, and we were granted that extension, but we still weren't able to get our permit, right? So the first permit we could receive was June this year from the town, not because we did not try to progress it. We progressed it very aggressively, I think. You know, other members of this committee or of the town adjacent to us were able to continue with their business and bring in revenue while this delay cost us expense after expense after expense. More engineering fees, interest paid on this, money to develop this stuff. All these delays stopped us. Now we have to come forward, because we're in such a time crunch, we have to dish out money that we were not planning to dish out in order to receive some of these permits, to be able to even keep our water for these allotted lots so we don't lose them. I don't want to get riled up, but I tell you, it's really frustrating.
All right, so we're gonna have, no, I'm sorry. Sorry, Councillor Abbey, sorry. We're gonna have to cut this off for now.
That's fine. I will follow up with the committee tomorrow
Yeah.
and see if we can get some clarification. But if there's any more confusion or, you know, delays in this, I just want to note it that I'm trying to progress this.
Yeah, that's fair.
Okay, thank
All
you.
right, Thank you.
Mayor, can I ask one more question, please?
No, we're moving on from that.
Policies in place that
We-
we have to follow.
Councillor Abbey,
Planning?
Councillor Abbey. We're moving on from that now. The planning department and the committee are gonna deal with April and Wally tomorrow and work out the details on how they can move forward. Within our,
I'm just asking that we observe the policies that we've adopted from council.
Councillor Abbey.
Those are followed.
Order, please. Thank you. Yes, the policies will be followed. That's the whole point. All right. Business arising report. Oh, hang on, mayor's report. The only thing I got here is the birthdays for February. Josh Banks, Recreation Community Services on the 3rd. Michael Barron, Infrastructure Public Works on the 7th. Tracy Nichols, Recreation Community Services on the 8th. Samuel Goss, Recreation Community Services on the 15th. Donna Norby, Torbay History House and Museum on the 19th. Lisa Lewis, Infrastructure Public Works on the 24th. And Bobby Goss, Infrastructure and Public Works on the 25th. Happy birthday to all of ye, and I hope you have a safe and happy birthday. Alrighty. Business arising report. Any questions on any of that? Okay. Correspondence. We have correspondence here from TRIOX Environmental. Field trial update. That goes to planning, Don? Okay. Municipal Assessment Agency, Manager of Assessment Operations. It's just a notification. announce Troy Bragg has been temporarily assigned Manager of Assessment and Operations within the Evaluation Services Division. Okay, so let's forward on to Corporate Services. Or is it just-
And it's just for information only, so we can file it.
All right, fine, thank you. And Municipal and Provincial Affairs, Municipal Code of Conduct, reminders, and compliance form. So this is about the new Municipal Code of Conduct. It's reminders that everybody has to have the form completed by March 3rd, 2023. Is that what I'm looking at here?
The training has to be completed in 3 months of adoption of the code. So for us, that is February 14th, so we'll be compliant.
Yep.
And in regards to the mandatory training, all municipalities in the province have until August 31st.
August 31st, okay. Okay. 31st, 23. Okay, so anybody that doesn't have that done, I know that the training is available, and I know that everybody is in the process of either completing it or have it completed, so we're good. We will be good. All righty, committees, council, committee to whole, there is no committee to whole report. Planning, land use development, Councillor Pollard.
Thank you, Your Worship. We met on Wednesday, the 1st of February at 9:30, myself and Councillor Tapper and Director Schwartz and Jason Slade. There's 3 items here. First is for 56 Mans Lane and deals with a variance for reduction to our frontage development standard. So the motion is to conditionally approve application MV 2023-001/C 2023-001 for a proposed 8% variance to the frontage development standard at 56 Mans Lane to accommodate the construction of a single dwelling unserviced in accordance with regulations 11-12-33 of the Torbay Development Regulations 2015 to 2025. Moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded, comments? Okay,
It's fairly straightforward. It's within the variance
okay,
standards.
all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Second motion relates to home office for roofing business on Patrick's Path. Receive an application to establish a home office in association with the roofing installation and repair business. So the motion is to conditionally approve application BR 2023-001 for proposed home office associated with a roofing installation and repair business at 152 Patrick's Path in accordance with regulations 33 and 90 of the Torbay Development Regulations 2015 to 2025 pertaining to discretionary use applications in accordance with the standard requirements of operating a home office in Torbay. So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded, comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
And the final motion is motion to accept permit listings for weeks ending February 2nd, 2023 as tabled. So
Second.
moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
And any other items that are there are attached in the report itself, and we're still dealing with the Great Pond issue and the issue over by the depot as well for the reorganization of that land for the campgrounds.
Okay. All right, any questions on any planning stuff?
I have a question.
Go ahead.
I had a resident contact me, and they were asking why we're moving forward with a building extension and exterior storage application with 1235 Torbay Road, when there's been a motion of council to not use a part of that yard because of the history of the file. The question was asked if it's been used and it's been consistently used from someone who lives in the region. How is it that the town has a motion in place where they say you cannot use that space, it's continued to be used, and now we are back to accepting another application on that? I just want to get clarification for the resident who's asked of me this evening. I don't have an answer, so I'm just putting it out there to see if the chair or staff can help explain that for me so I know what to bring back. Thank you.
I guess there's a couple of things on that there's nothing to prevent a person from putting an application in. It still has to go through a review process and consideration process, whichever way it falls out at the end of the day. it's going to be ultimately council's decision to approve or disapprove whatever comes forth from there. So, I mean, you know, that's all I can say. The fact that there's another circumstance whereby it wasn't allowed to be used doesn't necessarily mean that that's going to sit in an unused position for now and forever. So, I mean, there's always going to be and always is possibilities for applications come in. They still have to go through the process and be fettered and see what's acceptable and whether or not it can be something that's can be remediated based on some of the previous comments as well. So that's where that stands, and we really haven't seen the final and all that yet either. So.
I agree, Council Father. There's nothing to stop an application from being received or, you know, for changes to be made. But the question that was asked of me as a council member was, look, council had a motion and took a decision. The business owner didn't follow it. So can anybody do that in town? They can do what they want and it doesn't really matter. There is enforcement. That was the question that was asked of me. So I'm just flagging what was asked and bringing it to the chamber for discussion. Thanks.
Okay. All right, thank you. Any other questions? All right.
Did I get an answer to that question, Mayor?
Well, the answer is, I know that there's communication been sent to the business owner to cease and desist what he's been doing there. And I know that staff are working on that right now. Right. So that's the part about the property being used for something that it's not supposed to be. And it's kind of deceptive up there because that whole new section is not part of the new section. Some of it is part of the old property as existed before, so I know that staff are working on it and communicating with the business owner to get that issue straightened.
Sorry, Councillor Rappy, I wasn't aware there was a question associated with the last string after I had responded to your first question there, but, you know, in relation to how we handle enforcement and things of that nature, I think there's a whole larger discussion that council has had many interesting discussions around the table on, not only for development issues, but for other issues as well, and you know, it ties into the amount of staff and how far you want to go and whether or not that, you know, there's certain benefit or disbenefit to doing certain enforcement routines, and at the end we always try to work with the respondents to try to come up to the most amenable solution, and that's what we're still doing, and that's what we have been doing with this particular property for a period of time, although it certainly seems to take a long time to get to a resolution that is certainly at least acceptable to everybody and palatable to everybody, but, you know, hopefully something will come from it. But.
Thank you. I appreciate your responses.
Okay, thank you. Alrighty. Admin and HR. Councilor Manning.
Okay, so we had our meeting on Monday, January 23rd. Myself and Deputy Mayor Thorngoss with the Director of Human Resources and the CAO in attendance. First thing we discussed was the Communications Coordinator, which has been advertised. Applications have been received, and interviews are scheduled for candidates identified, and first round interviews are scheduled for the week of February 6th to the 13th this week, with the aim to have the position filled on or before March the 15th. And the next one is a Community Outreach Assistant. Committee members were provided with an update as it relates to the above noted position with the Torbay History House and Museum. It was posted internally and externally with a closing date of Friday, February 3rd. All applications received will be reviewed and pre-screened by Director of Human Resources along with CAO and the hiring manager to discuss and confirm next steps in the hiring process for interviews and such. Also, the Heritage Coordinator and Museum Registrar was also posted, and the closing date was same time, February 3rd. All applications will be reviewed and screened, and interviews will be set up very shortly. Next one is the Policies and Procedures, Work from Home Policy. Director of Human Resources advised all members of the committee that the work from home policy has been fully reviewed and approved at the committee level, and all members of senior management team and council have been provided with an opportunity to provide feedback on the content of the policy. The policy has now been finalized and will proceed accordingly through a motion of council for official adoption and implementation. So it was sent to all councillors, and any feedback was taken in consideration and looked at and worked into the policy. So I guess I'll read the motion here for this. Okay, the town of Torbay adopt the work from home policy as presented effective February 6th, 2023. So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Questions?
I've got a question. I read the policy and, no, I have no problem with the policy, but I do have a question. It says you can ask for an emergency situation to work, but is there a telework arrangement that can be put in place? When I looked at, there was two options there for making your application for the work from home policy. Hold on, let me open my screen a bit more here so I can see. But I wanted to just ask the question, like, is there a telework arrangement that can be put in place outside of the personal short term, and then there's emergency? I don't see in there like an ability for a telework arrangement for staff if necessary for an extended period of time. So I'm just curious to see if that's been discussed and what accommodations could be there in place for staff under circumstance where that would be needed.
Can you turn your mic on, Mark?
Yeah, I'm not sure if my microphone is on. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah.
Thanks.
So I think if we were to look at any emergency, not emergency, but let's say it's a medical accommodation, Councillor Appleby, we would look to have validation from a medical practitioner for that particular employee. If I'm answering your question correctly and I understand it, we would look to have some form of validation for what I'll call a short-term and or a possible long-term work from home provision. And if that's the case, then we would, look for a medical accommodation from the employee, and then obviously work with the employee to determine what the duration and length of that accommodation should be. So I think we'll handle those on a case-by-case scenario as they're brought forward, but I think for all intent purposes of this policy, what we have in there now under either an emergency provision and or a personal short-term provision should suffice, but it is a valid point, and I think we will cover that off through a review of an actual request if it doesn't fall under the emergency or personal short-term categories. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and then, look, all things in an emergency certainly makes sense to us after what we've just been through with the pandemic. No question there. And understand there's possibilities that we may need short-term accommodation for a number of reasons, but there's, the potential that somebody may be in a position where they do need a longer-term telework agreement. And I just wouldn't want them to be told, no, sorry, under our policy, you can't do that. We have a legal requirement to accommodate employees when necessary. And we also, we want to be an inclusive workplace that allows for people to have equal and fair opportunity to work, with the town. And it could be anything to do with childcare, it could be to do with health, it could be a number of things. So I just want to make sure it's not a restrictive policy. Like I'm wondering if we need short-term there, if we just have personal and take the short-term out, let that be determined between the director and staff or manager and staff. But just wanted to flag it to make sure that it says inclusive and robust as possible for the for the staff and the intention of the choose. That's all.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Carried.
Okay, so, and from there on, there's more policies we're working on and with the timelines associated. Employee Health and Wellness, Director of Human Resources along with CAO have commenced the Employee Health and Wellness Initiative of conducted in-person wellness checks with all staff members throughout the organization. Goal of these sessions is to gauge staff members' overall sense of physical and psychological well-being as part of our overall Employee Health and Wellness Committee mandate. which is to inspire, create, and maintain a work environment that supports each person's overall health and well-being. And the aim is to have everyone, all sessions completed by April the 1st. Other agenda items, Councillor Professional Development Travel at the FCM request from Councillor Appleby. I have a motion here. I'll go ahead and read it. Yes, sorry.
Can I have to have that motion withdrawn, please? The appeal for the quarry is happening March 7th, and I'm physically going to be unable to be in two places at once. So I'm going to be required here. I've been advised last week that I have to work with our legal team and be here in person for that. So if I can ask for that to be pulled, that'd be great. And the other thing I noticed that the allocation that's there is the $2,666 that's already been allocated to me. And what I was asking for was consideration for resources to be able to participate in FCM in a meaningful way. I did make a submission during the budget process for hybrid consideration, and it wasn't considered. But that was the intention of the motion, not to already be provided what I'm supposed to be able to access. So we can take that away and have discussion offline about where to from here on the FCM plan. I do want to clarify that I participate in FCM as a board member. It's not a position that everybody gets access to. It's an elected position. And it's different than sometimes it's been portrayed as everyone gets equal opportunity. It is an elected position that I have to run for. So for me to run in June for my seat again, I am going to request and need to request further resources from the town to be able to participate to seek election. So we can talk about that after, but I think right now I won't be able to be there in person. I will be here tending to town council matters here. So I don't see the sense in asking for the motion to move forward right now because I won't be able to travel for that in March if I wanted to.
Okay.
Okay, thank you, Councillor.
So it hasn't been tabled, so we don't have to worry about withdrawing it. It's just in the package.
Yeah.
I would caution Councillor Eppy that I think twice prior when it came to motions dealing with FCM that you were in a conflict, and that we just need to be very careful that you don't start speaking stuff that potentially could be in a conflict on.
Thank you, Mayor. The things that I've shared are just public facts about the seat, and that's an elected seat, and that I cannot participate in person. And I shared that there is a election that's required to hold the seat, and that is in June. None of those items
Excuse me.
the motion that's on the floor. Those are just factual items I'm sharing.
Okay.
For public clarification, there have been comments in the chamber that everyone should get fair resource there. I just want to make sure that it's captured, that it's not the same as, a member of council going up for a conference experience. On the board, elected members of that board.
Actually, to your point, a clarification on that is that when council voted for you to take that board position, it was contingent on following the town's travel and professional development policy. So it is exactly related to that. So, but I don't want to get into that right now. We can talk about that when you do bring something else forward. All right, carry on.
Okay, and collective bargaining is there. Right now we're in conciliation. Next thing I'll move on to the benefits review. There's a market study quote, Johnson's Insurance Company, Insurance Group, Consulting Services. There's more discussion that needs to be held on that to see where we want to go and how we want to handle this, and do we want to take on a cost associated with it. Emergency preparedness plan. Members of the committee, we were provided with a further update in regards to Town of Torbay's emergency preparedness plan. A meeting is scheduled for Monday, February 13th with the fire chief and members of senior management team to review and amend the plan accordingly to meet the town's current needs. So a further update will be available then. Strategic plan. Members of committee held a further discussion on the plan, and further update will be provided. Next committee meeting, February 13th, and we finished up at 12:15.
Okay.
Thank you. Any questions, certainly?
All right.
I'm just wondering if we can look at getting a date, a tentative date for that strategic plan, because I thought there might have been something in here so that all of council can be aware that it's coming up on a particular date.
It's anticipated that I'll have the draft to all council by the end of the week with conciliation ongoing. Priorities have had to shift, but hopefully in the coming days that will be resolved, and finishing the draft strategic plan is next on my list.
Okay, because then we'll need a committee to whole meeting to review. That's what I was trying to get at, so that we have a date in mind. And
I'll check
so,
the schedule
yeah,
and send an
committee-
invite out.
for a committee to whole.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks. Great. Thank you, Councilor
Mayor,
May.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
It's come to our knowledge that there's been a community outreach position that was found through an ATIP in Sherwood Council this past week that was hired last summer. I can tell you right now, I wasn't aware of it, nor were other members of council when I called and I asked. I do see that there's advertising for 2 positions at the History House, that positions closed on February 3rd, and for the first time, the public are seeing and council are seeing in the package, now that those positions are closed. I also understand that the money that was allocated for the position of community outreach this summer came from funds that were allocated and not budgeted through that. So I'm trying to understand how things are functioning. I'd like to ask, did this come through committee? Is this something that committee has discussed and it's failed to be included in the report? Is this something that's been done outside of committee? What is happening, and how is it that we, the public and members of council, are learning about positions that were filled that were not advertised to my understanding, and monies were reallocated for that I didn't know anything about? And how is it that we are advertising positions that are not on the org chart? I mean, you know, we need to be transparent and accountable. That's something that we've been talking about for the past 5 years. But it seems to me that there's issues around transparency on this, and I'm really questioning, and I've gone back through the packages. I don't understand why we're only learning now, putting it in the public package, that these 2 positions have been coming up, that they're being advertised, and the closing date was February 3rd, which was last week, and we're meeting talking about it now on the 6th. So could I ask for some information on that, please, because I don't understand what's going on here. Thank you.
Okay, from my perspective, this was brought to our attention, the committee's attention in early January. And it went on to advertise that these 2 positions, as you said, were there for the summer. I'm not sure now if, probably Noah might be able to.
No?
No?
Mark or Dawn?
Sorry.
Yeah, Mark
Sorry.
or Dawn.
Just to offer some clarification,
Okay,
the
so-
2 positions that are posted currently, they were budgeted items for 2023 and were provided in the spreadsheet to council when we commenced budget discussions. Regarding the positions last year, they were funded through external funding. There was 1 position, 1 individual that was brought on late in the year due to the number of overtime hours that the manager had been working. And there was resources within the existing budget to cover off the expenditure. Regarding the ATIP requests, I can't speak to that, as that's a confidential matter between the applicant and the town. And there is a second request pertaining, but I can't reveal the details. And there was a commitment by myself through email correspondence on the weekend or before the weekend to provide all the answers to council as well too.
Don, can I ask
Thank you.
for clarification? Am I understanding correctly that the committee found out about the position this summer in January? Is that what I understood from you, Councilor Manning?
No, not the positions themselves. We knew that they were up there this summer. just that
Okay.
it was.
So when were you informed? I guess what I'm asking for is, my understanding is this position for the community outreach was not advertised for equal opportunity. Is that correct?
So
Well,
I don't know my microphones are going to, there might be too many mics plugged in, but can you hear me? Can everybody hear me?
Yep.
I can hear you, but you're a little far out there.
Okay. Yeah, I see.
Thanks, Norm. Is this better? Okay. So we have an email correspondence there on file from January 23rd, if I'm not mistaken, when the CAO met with Director of Corporate Services and the Torbay History House Museum manager to review the 2023 budget. And that's when the approval was sent to me in an email to post those positions. So in terms of a timeline, on the 23rd, I received that email to post those positions, and then they were posted on the 23rd for 2-week period, which would have expired just this past Friday, February 3rd. So that's the timeline for the posting, and that's when I first received the official confirmation to post them that they were approved as part of the 2023 budget.
So, question, we have 2 positions for the History House that we are posting and advertising for. Decisions were made during budget process, is what you're telling me. The budget process happens behind closed doors, those deliberations. So am I to understand that 2 positions in this town were decided upon and approved behind closed doors, not in public chamber, advertised, and the information about it didn't come to public chamber until after the positions closed? And if I go back, what I'm asking is the position for the summer. I don't know, and I'm trying to understand, was it advertised for equal opportunity? How was the candidate selected? And how did we reallocate from where resources for that? Because if we're hiring people in the community, it needs to be fair and equal opportunity for employment. And I'm learning in February that we had a staff person last summer on staff that I had no idea ever was on their staff. And I'm learning this week that we have positions that have been decided during the budget consultations but have behind closed doors that were never approved in public chamber and have already been advertised. So, like, this is where I'm scratching my head trying to understand what is our process here. And if the director is telling me that he didn't know anything about this until January, my question is, how is this being done? Did it come to the committee or not? We need to have clarification, we need to have information in the public package, because other positions have been shared and updates on those have been provided in the public package. Why not these 2? Councillor Appleby,
Okay, there we go. So the budget was adopted in a public chamber in December. Those positions were part of that budget spreadsheet. So once the 2023 budget was uploaded into our accounting software, the Director of Corporate Services and I met with each staff member that had budget responsibility to go through their initiatives. So those positions that were currently advertised, they were included as part of the budget that council adopted in December. It was just in January when the Director of Corporate Services and I met with the Manager of Heritage, Culture and Information Services that he received an update on what was included in his budget allocation for the year. And that's when the Director of Human Resources was advised that after that meeting with the manager that they could proceed to the public posting. In regards to the summer, there were positions that were advertised publicly. And the third position, again, was an emergency later in the year, wasn't in the summer. I can provide you dates and times of when individuals were hired, because I'm working through that now. Anyway, I can't speak to why I'm going through that now, but so that information, as committed to in my email late last week, will be provided to all council.
I hear what you're saying about the information provided to council. I think it's important, though, that some of the questions that I'm raising here are answer for the public to understand. I mean, how is it that we are appointing and hiring people that, you know, and the motion under the budget, yes, we adopted the budget, but we didn't have a public debate at all about these positions. Do we need them? Do they exist? Why? You know, when we set up the History House was set up to be a separate unit that was supposed to focus on its own.
All right.
Now it's become a part.
We're not gonna go back and rehash the.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm just asking that the information, you know, around transparency in our hiring process
I understand.
are available to the public.
I understand what
Thank
you're saying, but I don't see these two positions any different than the seasonal public works workers that we hire. The directors bring forward their budget, they say we need to hire an extra 6 snow clearing operators for the winter. It doesn't come back around the council table for discussion. Jobs get posted, they get advertised, they come back, council approves the hires when they come back. I mean, that's how it works. We don't, each department, like, recreation puts in for so many employees to work at the county. They don't keep coming back to us every time to fill a position. It's in their budget, they lay out how many positions they need, who they need, what they need, same as every other department in the town. So I don't see how there's anything here that's unusual, to be honest. So, okay, we'll move on.
Mayor, are you saying that we are hiring people in the public department without advertising positions? That's not my knowledge.
We advertised those two. We advertised those two positions back in January. We advertised the positions for seasonal snow clearer back in October, I think, Brian? October, September. So all those positions get advertised, whatever it is that the directors
The
need to.
question I'm asking is, was the community outreach position for this summer advertised for equal opportunity?
I think that the CAO already answered that's an issue she's working through with a access to information request that we can't really discuss now because it's a private communication between her and the person that's making the information request.
So
We all do training on access to information. We know council is not supposed to meddle in access to information requests. It's
Mayor,
between.
I'm not asking to meddle in access to information requests. I'm asking as a councillor if there has been a position that was not advertised, that was hired, that, I'm asking, did it come through committee? I'm asking what has been done so we can have information share with the public is all I'm asking.
Right, so the CAO already committed to share that information back to council. And then at that time.
Yes, but I'm asking, can we share it in the public so the public understands?
Man, right
what's
this
happening?
minute, when she's continuing to work on an ATIP request, like, we all did the ATIP training, we know how it works. We're not supposed to interfere in the ATIP request as members of council. We provide information
Yeah,
when we're asked.
I'm not asking about an ATIP request, I'm asking about information that I received as public, that I'm
As
trying
part
to
of an
get
ATIP
all of
request.
our residents to understand what's happening.
As part of an ATIP request, an email that came to council on an ATIP request. That's what you're talking about, right? Huh?
Councillor Appleby, as I mentioned a few moments ago, all the information will come back to council and it can be appended to the Administration and Human Resource Committee minutes, so it's tabled in the public chamber.
Okay.
Thank you, Tom, I appreciate that.
Okay. Thank you. Corporate services. Councillor Pepper.
Thank you, sir. Our committee met on February the 6th, last Wednesday. Got a couple of things to read into the record and some motions. It's document number 1. So payroll, regular payroll for 57 employees for the 2-week period ended January 27th, 2023 totaled $120,063.33. Accounts payable for the 2-week period ended January 27th, 2023. Invoices in the amount of $45,767.25 and 2022 invoices in the amount of $125,609.85 were processed. So we have some invoices for approval. There are 5 operating invoices totaling $113,969.33. So invoice 2012 Ballyheady Country Club, $5,548.38. Invoice 189612 GFL Environmental Inc., $46,277.78. Invoice January 13th, 2023, NL Power, $16,233.53. Invoice January 15th to the 31st, 2023, Receiver General, $40,159.64. Invoice 218773, TriWare Technologies, $5,750. So moved for payment.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
So there are two capital invoices totaling $115,526.08. Invoice 217781, TriWare Technologies, Inc., $11,711.74. Invoice October 31st, 2022, Wares Construction Limited, $103,814.34. So moved for payment.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Comments?
Do we have clarification on what the docking station and 55-inch screen was? It was on the previous report, and this is brought back, so I'm assuming the explanation has been gotten for that. I'm thinking there's a Mondo pad of some kind or a screen somewhere.
It's 4 computers, the docking stations, and a screen for History House.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, any other questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Mayor, before I vote on that, I just gotta ask a question. Is that?
We've already called a question.
Yeah.
It was a budget item?
Yes.
We've already called question.
Yes, we already called a question. Did you vote?
No.
I'm trying to understand so I can vote. Guys, I'm remote here with a visa. Yeah, I'm fine to support it. I just wanted to ask if it was budgeted before I voted, that's all.
All right.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay. Opposed? No, nobody's opposed. All right, thank you. Carry on, sir.
Okay, document 2, Corporate Services Committee motions. There is one motion. 2021 audited financial statements. The 2021 draft audited financial statements have been provided by our auditors, BDO. The committee recommends approval of these financial statements by council with the mayor and the CAO to sign the statement of responsibility and the balance sheet. And that those financial statements are included in document 10, so I'm sure everybody read those numbers of pages. So I move this for payment, or for approval.
Moved and seconded. Questions?
Questions, comments? Yeah, 2021, I reviewed the statements. I had some questions, but I'm going to say for 2022 audit, this is over a year and a half old now, so it's not much sense wasting much time on the 2021 audit of financial statements for whatever reason. Do we have any idea when 2022s are going to be tabled? And this should be around the time that 2022s are getting tabled.
The 2022 actual procedures in-house have already started. All the bank reconciliations are done. We're now reconciling the cash accounts. The posting of invoices back to 2022 ceased as of January 31st. Our plan is to have the 2022 statements tabled before June 30th, 2023.
Thanks, Norm.
I'd just like to make a comment. I'm looking at it when I seen it in there, and I was thinking that it was more recent than 2021. But that being said, there was a time when we would go over that as a council before it came to council for a motion. Am I right in saying that, CAO? That was standard, yeah, because if there's something in there or that we're not aware of, so now as a council, based on the committee's approval for this, we're going with it. And, maybe when we get the next one, because we never met with council to review that as a past practice, I don't want somebody coming back and saying, oh no, the last one we did it this way, because they have traditionally been presented to council as a whole and not just to committee, because it's a big thing when you look at it, that we are approving something that for for the most part. Yes, I glanced down over it all and looked at it all, but if you don't have the knowledge that's required, and a lot of things comes from the discussion. So, anyway, I just wanted to put that in there, that it was a standard procedure that they would come to council for review and discussion.
Would you want the statements, the draft statements, before they went to the auditors or after they came back?
After, and the comments and
Okay.
whatever, yeah. But I just, Nova had dreamt that, but that was standard practice in the past for those.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Yeah.
Carried.
There's a number of
So
other...
can we do that then for the next one, bring that back in so that it is shared with council, seeing the timelines and that on it, please?
Okay.
Can I ask, is this the first one that was missed and not being shared with council?
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't around last term, but...
No, I don't remember.
What would happen is that there would be a committee meeting, and the invitation would be open to all council to attend. In addition, at the start of the term, we would have our auditors come in and present to council their overview of fiscal management, and then previous matters that may have come up on the management letter as well, too.
I don't recall
Will-
doing that when
will
we
in-
had the Corporate Services Committee though, Tony, did we? Do you recall that?
No, I don't remember coming back to council, but I know it's not non-standard practice to have it brought back. Usually all the statements should be reviewed by council as a whole anyway.
What was
Yeah,
that? I never
don't
heard,
recall that, but I think it's a
never
great
heard what
idea
he said.
when auditors present to council that we were saying
Yeah.
before it comes to the chamber. I do like the idea of the auditors coming in and making a presentation and answering questions. I don't know if it's for the council and the committee as a whole, so we have more information before we take the vote. But I just, I don't recall that being standard practice, not when I was on the committee.
All right, let's do it in June.
My only caution on that is if the auditors are going to present this, make sure we all, there's a marked difference between an audited financial statement and what we see on a regular basis too. So if we go down the cubby hole of asking questions that would normally be asked of the general income and expense reports, we're going to be racking up an awful dollar for someone's charging the hour for an auditor to come in and present it. So they can come in and present, and the management letter and the controls around the finances is the main result of the audit, and it says the state, it presents fairly. It just doesn't get into the individual numbers themselves for deep dive. That wouldn't be the place to do it. And that can be done in conjunction with Norm after that meeting probably, but not certainly from
So it's the
auditor's
management
perspective.
letter is what I've often,
Yes,
we've had
management
that
letter
and
and the
referred.
controls around, yes.
So that'll come in later.
That will come with the financials when they're ready to sign off on it.
Okay, and that's the big part of it, because I know there was comments and what we should be doing and what we need to be doing better was in that management letter. And that's what,
Yes, and they don't always
that's
have
what I'm
that
looking
either.
for.
Auditors don't necessarily have that every year with any in-depth analysis of things that need to change, but certainly, yeah.
Okay.
Depends on what they find.
We can look at that. We'll leave that with the committee and you
Yeah.
can figure out how we go forward with that. Perfect.
Okay, there's a number of other documents there for invoices and the like. If there's any questions, I just want to mention number 9. There's a donation request from Northeast Eagles under 15A. They're traveling to the mainland. We decided not to give them anything because it's just a team traveling on their own. They're not going to represent Torbay or the province to a tournament or whatever, so we decided not to give anything to them. So if there's any other questions?
Councillor Tapper, can I ask about the DARE discussion that we had in the last public meeting? I don't see anything there in the package around it. We asked that it was taken back to look at, see about what money and resources we might have for that. Has there been analysis on that? Can we expect something in the next meeting? Where are we on that?
We didn't bring that back to committee. I will add it to our committee agenda again for the next meeting.
Thank you.
I just got one one question there too, when we were going to do it, I guess, the last couple of weeks, and I asked about it, and that's with Pilot, June Perry, about those invoices. So the email now we've received, is that a follow-up that we've had with June? Or is she just coming back, because we had talked about in a prior meeting way back when about paying 2 outstanding invoices so that she could get on with the ask? And I'm just wondering if that's something new.
So that's the updated reconciliation and the donations that were received, and the invoices that were circulated to council are the ones that were outstanding from 2020 that weren't paid until we had the reconciliation. Pilot has sent emails to the mayor and myself stating that upon payment of those 2 invoices that they will seek recouping the remainder of the costs up to 2023. And if the spreadsheet does break down the sponsorship per year and what's due payable to the town.
Okay, but the question, I guess I keep going back to where we had this discussion some time ago. We were going to look at those, get them paid, and then get her to carry on with the ask. So now the invoices are back again. So are we, or who's going to determine now the paying off those so we can move on? Is that going to come back from finance, from motion, or, because I'm pretty sure there was a motion already to pay those.
I recommended that it be a discussion at committee of the whole, but if council so deems that it's reviewed by corporate services, that's okay as well.
I mean, this has just gone on for so long that I just find that
Okay.
keeps coming up, and I know there was a meeting.
Pardon?
Oh, sorry, Mary, I'll let you finish them all.
No, I know that we've talked about this like quite a few times, and I was under the understanding that there was a meeting had taken place, I thought, with the mayor and the CAO, and what we were supposed to do. But I was asking about that email, if it was a follow-up to the meeting that CAO had with June recently, or is that now the company coming back and asking us? Because there's still money there that we can get from those businesses that we haven't gone back for the follow-up and done the ask. And we really need to do that, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So potentially those invoices then need to come to the next finance committee meeting and at least have a recommendation, is what I'm suggesting, to be paid or not, and get that resolved so we can move on with the,
Closing that
with
up.
the, yes, and with the ask that we're looking for.
Yep.
So my understanding of the situation is that we have asks that have been out there. There are businesses that are being advertised that have come and we haven't received money from yet. It's my understanding of what I've been informed as a council member. I'm concerned about us paying invoices for this when we have resources outstanding that are already being advertised. So can I ask for a complete workup of what's going on here to
We have it.
have that package for council? I think we need to discuss this as a council. This is an awful lot of taxpayers' money, and we need to make sure that we're all informed about what the information is and where to from here. I know there's a lot of residents that talk to me about it and are quite concerned about where we are. So I feel if we're going to move this forward, especially if I'm going to take a decision in chamber on our next steps on these invoices, I'd want to work up to have an up-to-date understanding of everything around it. What is collected, what's not, what they're proposing, and when they're going to do it by. It's
We
not
got
gonna
that,
make- it's,
we got that.
We got that.
Got that today.
That was sent out today to council.
That's why I'm bringing it
I
up.
saw an email this evening quickly when I came through about that, but I gotta be honest, I really do think this is a communal discussion.
Yeah, we could do that. We could do that instead, if we want to do that, that's fine.
Well, can we put that on then, to have it before the next meeting? Because I've been asking for this for a long time. So, have it regardless, have a meeting and then have it go back to finance and make a recommendation at our next meeting.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, that concludes my report.
All right, thank you, sir. Economic Development and Tourism. Councillor Epke.
Thank you, Mayor. Let's see. All right, myself and Councillor Manning and our Economic Development Tourism Officer met. Let me see here. Where's the minutes? We met on Monday, January 23rd at 9 a.m. We talked about the department overview and what to expect coming up for 2023. We talked about staff resourcing and seeking co-op students to support the department. We talked about incorporated businesses. So there's a list of incorporated businesses that come to the town and how to reach out and have conversations with those that aren't connected with the town. We talked about the regional wayfinding sign project and the business attraction method for 1296 Torbay Road. So we have a motion for council to approve the expression of interest. We have an update on the Pickle Ridge Memorial Project, and we understand that that is moving forward, so we're looking forward to that. And then there was an update on the Killick Coast Agriculture Advisory Committee. Under tourism, there was a note that the EDO will be attending the Hospitality Newfoundland and Labrador Conference, and we talked about the tourism marketing. So we do have a motion here, and in the package there is an expression of interest draft to review, and the motion is for council to approve the expression of interest entitled Town Torbay Lease Space 1296 Torbay Road. So moved.
Second.
Go to second. Questions?
So Mayor, if I could, I just wanted to mention too that we had a committee of the whole discussion about this as well, and council as a collective sat, discussed, walked through and provided some guidance. But the whole idea here is to have an expression to see who may be interested to use the space, and to do our best to attract someone who may be interested to come in and be another business partner in the community.
Okay. I'm just looking on this. Do we have time frames on this? Left open? Okay.
One thing in there, and I thought that, and I just wanted to put it back in there, the term of lease, it said will be for a minimum. I thought we may be for, I didn't know that we had closed that off for, it had to be for 5 years. And maybe we had discussion on it and I can't remember, but anyway, that was my only, other than that, all's good.
Our bank lease was 5-year increments and renewable, thereabouts. That might have been where it came from.
Okay. All right.
If I could speak to that, Mayor, we did have that discussion as well, committee of the whole, and the conversation about having a 5-year lease was to have stability of the use for the asset. We don't want to have public tax dollars, having to return to changing up that space and building over time.
Makes sense.
Again. So it's trying to get someone in there, have the longevity of the business being there. And from a town's perspective, from a revenue generation perspective, if we continue to lease the building, that we've got some stability for planning as well.
Okay. All right. Any other questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Carried.
Thank you. All right, so that ends my report. If there's anything that anyone has a question on, please feel free. Councillor Mann, do you have anything to add?
No, that's good.
Okay.
Thanks.
That's it for me, Mayor. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. History, Heritage, Culture, and Arts. Deputy Mayor.
We met on January 30th, myself and the manager of the History House and Councillor Tapper. It's pretty straightforward here. If anybody's got any questions, one interesting thing that I would, on January 26th, Was a meeting here in the chamber with various representatives and by Zoom with the Irish ambassador to Canada and the Canadian ambassador to Ireland to discuss the upcoming work on the Mannion collection. And the summer programming, NOAA has started working with community services, recreation community services staff to discuss the summer events. And big thing here as well, I know it came up last time, but NOAA is in the process of arranging a meeting with some of the people from the time in Torbay, so we can get that underway. And as usual, he has the Annex A in here with the any grants that's been submitted and what we've received to date. So anybody's got any questions or anything? It was a quick meeting. We were real quick.
All right.
You
Thank
got anything else, Councillor
No,
Pepper?
that's fine, yeah.
All right. Thank you.
There's one thing there, and I keep remembering it when I'm doing this, and I just want to put a plug in there again for, is it possible to get this, an annex like this done up for other departments that have submitted grants and who they're with, like with the same template that NOAA has been using? Because I think it would be really good information for all of us to
We're actually meeting tomorrow to develop the funding framework across all departments, so there'll be recommendations forthcoming from that to include that information.
Each department or whatever way, but I think it's this is something that's really good information in it.
Can I ask one question? I asked in a previous meeting, a couple of meetings ago, about under the grants, the 2023 grants for the co-innovation communities and regional development funds. And I just wanted to see, and thank you, Noah, for sharing that is for the storage facility, that's being looked at for the artifacts and stuff next to the building. Can we just make that clear in there what those proposals are for, what we're looking at? It's still vague for anyone who's reading it. I'm just curious to see if we can put something in there so the public can understand it better.
Okay. All right. Infrastructure and Public Works, Councillor Pollard.
Thank you, Your Worship. We met on 2nd of February at 8:15, myself and Councillor Appleby and Brian, Director of Infrastructure and Public Works. The majority of the projects that are ground related, shall we say, obviously won't commence again until the spring, so if anyone has any question on the majority of it, they can certainly ask. We're still waiting for the last flow meter to come in for the flow meter project. There was some delays on the shipping of that, so it's still not here yet. So only one more left, and that's the one on Tyndale. Move down to item number 4. There was some issue around the water pressure on Tyndale Drive for some people, and the director's going to look into the minimum requirements that we have for our town pressures across the whole gambit of the town to ensure that we do meet our minimum requirements within, and then if we don't, then obviously we'd have to come up with some way to address whatever we find in that review. The retaining wall on Beam Review Place, we had spoken about that at the end, towards the end of last year and through the budget process as well, and the fact that the wall is starting to fall in and needs to be addressed. We did ask to get some quotes for the engineering side of things, so there's a motion here to give Progressive Engineering and Consulting approval to proceed with the design, tender, and administration of the Beam Review retaining wall replacement project in the amount of $4,450 plus HST. Inspection will be completed on a per diem cost. So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Questions?
I just think the sooner we get that one done, the less trouble we're going to be in, because it is starting to lean against the tree and things of that nature, so we have to move on that fairly quickly.
Okay.
We discussed the Torbay.
We vote on it. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Right.
On yours, I got my computer into one of these automatic roll-ups, which is going faster than I can read, for sure. The salt shed, yes, we had some engineering design changes on that because when the first ones came back towards the end of last year and around budget time, the costs were over, so we had to look at a new design for that shed. So we're going to go out and ask for some engineering design work or go out to engineers to submit design work for new engineering change. So that'll be done in the next couple of weeks to see where that gets moving. And that ends my report, George. If anybody has any questions, feel free to ask.
Councillor Pollard, can I extend a thank you to our director, thanks Brian, for providing that information on the speeds. That was really great to do that. I think it's really important that we can collect information and share with residents as they're asking for it. That's always valuable. So I just wanted to extend a thank you for that. Appreciate it.
Certainly.
All right, thank you. All right. Recreation and Community Services, Councillor Goss.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Myself and Deputy Mayor Warren Goss and Jan Martin met on January 31st. Everything is there for people's reading, just to highlight the Chief Monroe Awards. Submissions are up to Friday, March 24th, and can be submitted to Kurt Condon at the town of Blue Bay and Stephanie Murray at the town of Flat Rock. Special events coordinated by the History House to discuss and collaborate a plan for the summer events. Update will be provided when the History House staff meet the volunteers from time to Tour Bay Committee. The Tour Bay Common Facility schedule is the link is provided as well. Tour Bay Common side is finally up and fully operational. Newfoundland Powerlifting Provincials will be held at the Tour Bay Common first weekend in June. Good news. And Director also let us know there's $20,000 approved funding through the Canada Parks and Recreation Association, reaching each and every one. A community sports intervention to offer Indigenous programming in Tour Bay. Beyond that, our next meeting is February 14th, and unless there's any more questions, so ends my report.
Okay, any questions?
Not a question, but a comment. I just want to say congratulations on getting funding, and thank you, staff, for doing that. That's amazing. Thanks.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Goss.
Thank you.
All right, liaison committees. I think Mayor's Congress, no update. Where am I? Intergovernmental Affairs. Invite was sent. No, we don't have an update for that. Jack Burn Regional. Councillor Pollard? Councillor Goss? Either one of you got an update?
Sure. Where'd you go or me?
No, I'm sure it'll bring up something as you go ahead.
I'm sure he will, yes. We met, actually, we should have had this update the previous time, so I didn't jump up and say, hey, you forgot us. Oh, well, here we are, it comes around. We met on the 17th of January, actually. I don't know if the information was circulated or not, we certainly can. The preliminary projections to the end of the year for Jack Burn Arena is we should be to the good some $40,000, which is certainly good news. Shows that we're still managed to break even there, although there is, you know, the building is starting to age and there is a lot of work that will need to be done over a number of years, so we have to start now looking at some longer term planning in terms of trying to lay some money away. So when people start to give some negative feedback in terms of the rates and things of that nature and our use of the facility for other than ice skates and things of that nature in hockey, and people should understand that is to generate the revenue is going to be required to actually keep the place operational without the need for town support on a go-forward basis. We reviewed the budget for 2023, and once again, the initial indications are that we should be to the good some $33,000, And somewhere during the year, we purchased a new Zamboni as well, which we had some money from some of the member towns at least, or the non-member towns, especially Port Go St. Phillips, who granted $25,000, so that's great towards that purchase. So that'll certainly help offset some of those costs and waylay some of the concerns about PCSP not contributing to the ongoing operation of Jack Byrne. The transition or the succession planning for Lauren, as we all know, Lauren retirement is probably earlier than we had anticipated, or probably earlier than anybody anticipated. And some years ago, the board had indicated that Kathy Green would be trained to do Lauren's replacement job, and has done some training towards it, and it's been, I guess, 10 years or so since that indication was given to her, at least I understand. We had some good discussion around the whole transition and where we are, and the fact that a lot of the information that Lauren has in terms of the contacts for those special events that do generate a significant amount of revenue, the contacts with the minor hockey associations and certainly the other hockey users off the arena as well, rests with Kathy really, and not with Lauren, so that she brings that level of expertise into the realm as well. So the board voted to have Kathy take Lauren's position for on a one-year probationary period, with the intention to review at that point in time, and to advertise her position to the general public so that we could get some feedback as to who's out there to look for the assistant manager's position. And after that, that's essentially what took the majority of time. We had, like I said, a lengthy discussion around that, and I'm sure there'll be comments around that we'll have to address as well. But at the end of the day, it was a board decision to move forward with that. I personally don't have an issue with it, provided that you know, the reviews are done properly, and that you know, there's an honest evaluation takes place at the end of the day.
Okay, thank you. Questions?
If I could.
Go ahead.
I'd like to add to that as well. And in terms of the transition between Kathy and Lauren, I fully supported this as well, for a couple of different reasons. One, I think that having this set up in terms of what the progression would be over time, I thought was you know, something that should have been honored. And secondly, I was something that I thought was extremely important, that we have a lady put in that position to be able to run the rink and have the ability to you know, to make her own. So I think it's a win-win in a lot of different ways. So I was in full support of the transition going that way.
All right, thank you. Any other questions?
I'd just like to say congratulations to Kathy.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
I spent 4 years on that board, 2 as vice chair, 2 as chair, and I don't recall ever being informed that there was a promise made to anybody for an employment position there. I will absolutely attest to the professionalism and the capacity of our current staff at the Jack Byrne board, and I think they're amazing people and they do great work, no question about that. However, I feel that it's really important to have fair open competitions for positions. I do respect that the board has taken a decision, and the board has the right to do that. But I just do want to note that, you know, it's always about making sure that we're open, transparent, and accountable. And at the end of the day, we are an owner, the majority, you know, owner of that organization. And I think that it's important that, you know, we do continue to do what we have done, support our staff and make sure that, you know, the staff have the best ability for professional development they can have. But I do think a fair and open process and competition is important. And I think we should be considering that in go-forward situations. So I just want to make those comments. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any other comment?
I'd like to also congratulate Kathy. The fact that she's worked there, been there for so long, and worked together with the previous manager and continued on to get the education or necessary training that was required, and to work herself towards this fully being able to take over this position and with confidence. So, congratulations, Kathy. Thank you.
Anyone else? Me, listen, I hear what people are saying about an open process, but I also would say I give a lot of credence to proper succession management. And I think that Lauren, as the manager of that facility for the last 10 or however many years he's been there, with Kathy working alongside him, learning what his role is, and I think that that's really good. And for the board to understand that they have somebody stepping into that position that is fully qualified and fully ready to roll and know getting up to speed and all, I think that on part of the board, that's a smart thing to do, to have that succession management in place, because I see so often when in different organizations where if you don't have proper succession management and someone all of a sudden leaves, it kind of leaves you in a real lurch. But so I would encourage anybody, when the job gets posted for assistant manager, when it comes up, to apply, and hopefully we'll get a great candidate there that we'll be able to look forward for the next number of years that place is operating, and it'll be in good hands. All right, thank you. Northeast Avalon Joint Council, Deputy Mayor.
Next meeting is on Wednesday.
Okay.
Just like to, I'm not sure, and I meant to go back in and check if the last minutes got included in our last package. And the only reason why I'm saying that, because a copy of the Constitution was in there. So, I don't know, because Councillor Pollard, you were wondering about a copy of the Constitution, and it was in the last package. I don't know if it went, I don't remember seeing it in our last council package.
I don't remember seeing the minutes or anything, no.
Yeah, no, and it was in, so maybe, and if you can include it in the next one, because the Constitution and everything was in that one. And, because I had sent it in earlier on than the week before, I think, the public council package. So, if we could send that out, or even just make sure that where the Constitution was included, just seeing we had somebody looking for it.
All right. Royal Flex February. We're meeting with them this Wednesday night at 6. Boys, who's Bill? At the same time in my calendar, I got Bill's party. I don't even know what it is or who it is.
Yeah, I got the Northeast Avalon Joint Council Wednesday night. How come, did I see that as that Jack Byrne?
What's here?
Was here? How come I see something for meeting, Jack Byrne?
Is that Bill's party?
Might be Bill's party, I got it in as Jack Byrne.
So, I don't know. I get so many emails and meeting requests, it's hard to keep my head on straight sometimes. But anyway, so we'll have them in here Wednesday and have a chat with them about community policing and where we're to and how we go forward and how we present and to residents and how we advise them on what things to do in terms of community policing in our town. So it'll be an interesting discussion, I'm sure. Torbay Volunteer Fire Department, Councillor Manning.
Thank you. Minutes are there for their January 16th meeting. Pretty self-explanatory there. Things are rolling along smoothly over there as they should. If you have any questions, certainly ask me and I'll pass it on.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Urban Municipalities Committee, no update. We got a meeting coming up in, I think it's March. And I think it's in Portrait Coast St. Phillips. I'm not sure, but I'll have to follow up and I'll let everybody know when that is. I would mention with the fire department that was last week we did the push in for that. Yeah, and so that's a beautiful new piece of equipment that we got for the fire department. And our old fire truck got sold to Beta, well, not Beta Bird,
Beta Grave.
Beta Grave. So good luck to them. Hopefully that truck will serve them for another 5, 6, 8 years, however much long is life left in it. And, you know, bonus for them, they got a dandy fire truck, and we got a brand new rig that's gonna do us for hopefully 15 years, whatever the life of our truck is. I think it's 15.
And from what I understand, they were really excited to make the purchase too, so that's good.
Yeah. Good. All right.
Mayor, can I ask a question on that, please?
Sure.
I had a resident come to me, and they were quite concerned about the purchase of a new fire truck, and that we had sold a fire truck that was in our inventory to another town that could use it. The question was asked, well, you guys are raising taxes this year, but you gotta go buy a shiny new truck that could be used somewhere else. Can I please ask for some clarification on that for the public and for the residents who ask the question? Because I don't know experts on the fire department or how things function, but, and I'm not against, you know, having a new fire truck to support the residents down Torbay at all. But I think the conversation around the retirement of the other truck and being sold to another municipality where they can use it, and then, you know, us purchasing a new one, I think it's a valid question that the resident asked me, and so I just want to bring it forward and ask if some clarification would be provided about that to the public, please. Thanks.
Sure. If you send along the residents' information, and then we'll get the CAO or somebody from the fire department to contact them and give them that clarification.
Well, I was just asking for some justification in public chamber if I could get it on that. I mean, we're in the public chamber tonight.
Well, okay, all right, okay. I'll clarify for you. When the fire department came in here and gave us their budget presentation, all of that stuff was laid out there. There's a succession plan on replacing their vehicles, when they're gonna be replaced. We know right now, over the next 15, 20 years, what vehicles are gonna need to be replaced for the fire department. A fire pumper has a 15-year or 20-year, I think it's a 20-year life expectancy. The one that was down in the town of Flat Rock was at probably 15 years and was starting to cost a lot of money in terms of repairs and fixes. So as is good practice, we retired that one because it still has 5 good years of active service on it, where the department or the fire and emergency services will approve it and license it as an approved pumper 1 fire truck, because anything over a 20-year lifespan can't be a primary responding unit. It has to be a secondary. So we have one primary responding unit here in the town of Torbay. We have another one down in the town of Flat Rock. So in order to keep that service up to there, we need to make sure that we got good equipment. So by selling it prior to its end of its life, it gives the town an opportunity to recoup some money from that truck that was sold, and for another town to be able to avail of a fire truck that they can use for 5, 6 years as a pumper 1.
That was last year's budget too,
Yeah,
right? That's important
So
to know now.
does that clarify?
Yes, Mayor, thank you. That's exactly what I was looking for, was just the clarification for the public. And so if somebody's wanting to know, then they've got it, you know, and
Okay.
I don't know as much as other members of council do around these things, so I just thought it was best to ask the question and have an answer in the chamber. Thank you, I really appreciate it.
Okay, and I'm just lucky that I actually happened to have that conversation with the fire chief that night we were there pushing the truck in. I asked him where it was going, how many years, all this type of thing. So, yeah, it's good. Anyway, so hope that answers your question.
Thank you.
All right, you're welcome. All righty, no notice of motion, new business. Where am I to? Where am I to? Councillor Appleby.
Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to extend a thank you to our friends at FCM. There was a meeting of the standing committee to increase students' participation this past week, and my vice chairs and colleagues and staff got together with the crowd of FCM to have a conversation about our upcoming meeting in March. We had some questions and concerns, and I want to throw out a thank you to Carol Saab, CEO, for making time to meet with us so we could have some clarification around that. I've got to say, the support at the FCN level for the standing committee is quite exceptional, so I just want to shout out a thank you to them. And also, my understanding is that they're looking at having an in-person meeting for the committee. I did advise them that I didn't expect to be attending because I'd be here dealing with the Corey appeal at the time, but I did ask for a virtual ability to participate in the meeting at the Senate conflict. So that's it for me. I just want to extend a thank you to them. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Deputy Mayor?
I didn't have anything.
Oh, you passed. All right, I got thanks. Just want to pass along my thanks to the members of council and staff and our volunteers that helped out yesterday morning. Volunteers include our group of AY that were there helping out to cook breakfast for our Family Fun Day. It was, as always, a lot of fun actually doing that, cooking it in the kitchen, doing that work, and getting together and having that bit of, I don't know what to call it, camaraderie, or just, you know, get out of bed on Sunday morning and get down and get the stove going and get the bacon on and some pancakes, and we had a good turnout. I don't know how many people we had, but it was good, and I know that the people had a lot of fun playing in the common gym. And you know, thanks to staff for organizing again another successful cornhole night at the Common on Saturday night. I was there. It was great. I think we had 102 participants. With the weather, I was expecting we might have 2 participants, but you know, people came out, and it was a good time again. And I'm looking forward to the next one. Every time I go there, he says, you should do this every month, every week. I said, we only got so much gym time available, but it is certainly a successful event, and I look forward to the next one. All righty, where am I? We got any Q&As, Don? No? Is there anybody here wanting to ask a question? You guys? No? All right. So, our next public council meeting is scheduled to take place Monday, February 20th, 2023, right here in our council chambers in the town of Torbay. And with that, I would entertain a motion to adjourn, please.
So moved.
Moved, seconded. All in favor? Aye. Opposed, carried.